up? Welcome back. Today we're out here to test a couple of cameras. Just recently, yesterday, got the brand new Apple iPhone 13 Pro. The 13 Pro, not the Pro Max, not the base model. So this has the three camera arrangement on the front. It's got the ultra wide, the wide, and the telephoto. And the other day, I also acquired the brand new GoPro Hero 10 Black. Now, something new with the iPhone 13 Pro is that it has the new sensor shift stabilization. So the actual sensor is moving around to compensate for shake. So I wanted to see how the new iPhone 13 Pro with that sensor stabilization stacks up to the GoPro Hero 10 and see how they compare, because the GoPro Hero 10 is really amazing, but it's kind of limiting on what you can do with it because it's only got that really wide lens. Even though you can kind of punch in on it with the narrow field of view, it's not amazing for all situations, and especially in low light. So today we're out here on a trail. I'm gonna do my little trail run here. I've got the camera set up on the same selfie stick, which is kind of an interesting arrangement, but it's the best I could do for this video. Right now we're filming on the wide lens on the Apple iPhone 13 Pro, and we're filming in the wide field of view with horizon leveling on the GoPro Hero 10 Black. So this is totally not a scientific test. It's just something I was doing for myself because I wanted to see if I could just keep my phone on me as a camera, or if I really need to bring my GoPro along on my trail runs and hikes and races and everything. It would be nice to cut down on the weight that I'm carrying and the items I'm carrying. And I already carry my iPhone, so it would be nice to use that as my camera too. Oh yeah, before we move on, if you find this video helpful or entertaining or fun, consider hitting the thumbs up and subscribe down below, because that really helps out my channel. First up, let's do a little bit of a jog to see what that looks like. All right, so I'm just kind of cruising along here, and I'm trying to keep my arm as stable as possible, even though this is kind of a heavy rig to be holding while running. But I'm seeing if I can keep it as stable as possible and give these cameras the best advantage they can get. So we'll see how this looks like after I'm done. Okay, now we have switched over to the ultra wide camera on the Apple iPhone 13 Pro, and we're still in that same field of view on the GoPro Hero 10 Black. And just by looking at the screens and not even reviewing the footage on this, I can tell the GoPro is way more stable than the ultra wide on the 13 Pro. Okay, now I'm trying to hold the cameras as completely stable as I can. I've got two hands on them on the extents of the cameras, and I've got mosquitoes biting my face, but I'm doing the best I can. And judging by what I'm seeing on the screen, the GoPro looks way stabler. It's just like floating through the air like a drone, where the iPhone has little jitters. Okay, and now we're punched into the wide lens on the 13 Pro, and it does look a little bit more stable because now we have that OIS activated on the Apple iPhone 13 Pro, but still the GoPro still looks a little bit more stable. Okay, and just for fun, now we are punched in on the iPhone 13 Pro to 3x zoom. So this is the zoom lens, and obviously when I walk, the stabilization on a zoom lens is not great. So I'm gonna stop walking just so we can compare images here. And on the GoPro Hero 10, I've punched into the narrow field of view, which is still actually pretty wide because it's a GoPro and has a super wide lens, where the iPhone 13 Pro has a dedicated zoom lens for this kind of thing. So clearly the image on the iPhone looks pretty dang sharp. It's actually a really nice looking image. All right, and now we're on the new flagship feature of the iPhone 13 Pro's camera. We're in cinematic mode, which is supposed to give us a nice background blur behind me. And this is kind of tricky to do because I can't actually see the screen since I'm using all of the rear cameras right now. So I'm hoping this effect is actually working and it's not blurring everything out. I've tried it a little bit at home, and I've noticed that some of the edges, like hair, can actually get kind of cut off and sent into that blur, but for the most part it's a pretty cool effect. The one thing to note about cinematic mode on the iPhone 13 Pro is that it only works in 1080p 30 frames per second, which is kind of a bummer. It would be cool to have that in 4K or even 24 frames per second, but still it's a pretty cool feature. It's basically portrait mode in video, and that's kind of amazing that phones can do that. And obviously on the GoPro, we've just got that standard wide angle field of view, nothing fancy going on in the background. Although I could try to pull it off in post in Final Cut or Premiere or something, but I doubt it would look the same because they're doing some magic on the iPhone to make it a little bit more seamless. So cinematic mode on the iPhone 13 Pro versus the GoPro Hero 10 Black. Here's a pretty cool example of cinematic mode on this tree. And you can see it's pretty convincing. Like that actually looks like bokeh going on in the background there. That background blur is pretty cool. And when I kind of pan past the tree, you can see that the background comes into focus. That's just such a cool effect. And now we're actually using the front-facing camera on the Apple iPhone 13 Pro and obviously the GoPro Hero 10 Black. And what's cool is that the front-facing camera also does cinematic mode, and that's what I'm using right now. You can tell the camera quality is a little bit lower. You don't get that really awesome large sensor of the rear camera. And sorry for the GoPro that's actually in the shot right now. It is what it is because the camera is so far to the edge of the phone, and the way I have these cameras mounted, it's in the shot. Another really cool feature of the Apple iPhone 13 Pro is that it's actually got a macro lens on it. I've actually got the camera maybe, I don't know, a half an inch away from this tree. And you can see I can get so close to it and see the tiny little details of the bark. It's just a really cool feature. That's kind of my final comparison here. The GoPro Hero 10 Black versus the iPhone 13 Pro. I know this is kind of a silly short video, but I thought someone like me might be out there who's interested in a GoPro, but not convinced that it's that much better than an iPhone or any phone for that matter. The GoPro Hero 10 is quite amazing. I'm definitely going to continue carrying it because the iPhone 13 Pro, even though it does have amazing camera capabilities and it's got a huge sensor and the stabilization is actually pretty good, it still doesn't compare to the stabilization that we got on the GoPro Hero 10. So both of these items will remain in my trail running pack, in my hiking pack, in my ice climbing pack for all of my adventures, because these two combined create such a versatile kit for an on-the-go photographer, videographer. You can basically accomplish anything with these two cameras together. Okay, I think that's it. This is just a silly little video comparing some cameras. If you found it useful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. I really appreciate that, and consider subscribing so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. And that's all I got for you today. Okay, bye.